Samaritan is a slander that fits the historical situation of the animosity between Jews and Samaritans. Jewish people wanting to stone Jesus is historically true, because that's what would have happened in his day in John 8:31 and 59. The pool of Siloam has been confirmed by archaeology in John 9:7. Authenticity can be seen in John chapter 9:13-39. The threat of the Pharisees throwing people out of synagogue was a likely scenario. John chapter 9:17, the man who is healed calls Jesus a prophet, is historically reliable because it shows an embellishment of history. John chapter 10:22-23. John chapter 10:22-23, Solomon's colonnade is mentioned by Josephus several times. John chapter 11:18, the distance between Bethany to Jerusalem is accurately recorded in the Bible, John 11:18. The fact that Mary and Martha were comforted by the Jews in John 11:19 shows that it's historically reliable, because later on, after the resurrection of Christ, there was a hostility between Christians and Jews. So why would the Christians write something positive about the Jews? So it shows historically reliable. Lazarus' burial and the way he was wrapped shows exactly the way first century Jewish burials were in John 11:44. In John 11:47 we get an exact description of the Sanhedrin, which was what we could find concerning the Sadducees, Pharisees and chief priests in the time of the first century. John 11:49, Caiaphas was high priest of that year. We get that from Josephus. In John 11:54, the obscure village of Ephraim is mentioned by Josephus as well in John 11:54. For the Passover there was ceremonial cleansing, and we see that in John 11:55. The anointing of people's feet with oil was a common thing in Jewish culture, John 12:3. John 12:13, Jewish practice celebrated the military victories was waving on branches, which shows historical veracity in the text of John 12:13. In John 13:14, foot washing was part of culture. And John 13:24, we see Peter posing a question to John to then go and ask Jesus. Why would the writer put that in? There's no reason for him to put that in unless it was true. When in the text in John 14:28 Jesus says the Father is greater than I, seems to be historically reliable, because If John wanted to say Jesus was God, why put that in as well? The use of the idea of Jesus is divine in John 15:1 makes full sense because the temple gates had a golden vine carved on them, and shows the connection of the historical times of that metaphor. In the Dead Sea Scrolls, at 1QH, chapter 11, verse 9 and 10, we have childbirth metaphor, which is mirrored in Jewish culture in John chapter 16:21. In John 17:1, Jewish posture in praying was towards heaven and is mirrored in that passage.